What's up, guys? This is Jakob. I'm a content manager and helping small and medium enterprises with their content strategy. Welcome to a new episode of Content Mentorship. I'm the host of this show where I speak with experts within thought leadership. And today I'm going to speak with Divya Parekh. Divya is a number one bestselling author. She's a business growth strategist and a motivational speaker. She is helping with her team other authors and to become number one best-selling authors and get six-figure opportunities. And Divya is also very special because she was one of the first persons that I interviewed in my old podcast version where we just used audio, and now we talked a little bit about this one. Now we are doing video and we are doing live sessions, and it looks like improvement for me. And I'm very happy to have you a second time on my show, Divya. Welcome to my show.
Thank you so much, Jakob, for having me on your show. And as we were talking about families, and I didn't even realize it's been 5 years since I know Jakob, and it's
Yeah.
wonderful to have professional connections and, where people become friends. And this goes back
Yeah.
to the testament of social media.
Yeah, that's right. It's really crazy. We met each other virtually on through a Facebook group, if I'm not wrong, and then we chatted, and you interviewed me, and I interviewed you, and it grew very organically.
Right.
That's really cool. So welcome to the show. We are going to speak about writing books in order to become a thought leader. So, how is a book building authority for my business? Can you explain this?
Absolutely. So, Jakob, one thing I want to share with you is that so many times when people people know a ton of doctors, people know a ton of dentists, and yet people don't know as many authors. And I'm not just talking about, you know, sitting down over a weekend program, slapping it in, and creating a book. I'm talking about a quality book.
Mhm.
So, what happens is that if you want to lead by value, and if you truly care for your audience, if you truly want to make a difference, and it's about making an impact, that's what's needed at the core of it. And if you really want to make a difference and drive that impact, so what happens is that if you write a book which is written very strategically in a way that you are providing value to your audience, because as a coach, as a service provider, as an entrepreneur, you can only serve one person at a time.
Mhm.
So you're coming from that perspective, you write a book, you provide value, and yet at the same time, what you're doing is that when you're writing that book, if it's written strategically, it will position you as the thought leader in your industry. And now you're not asking anyone anything. So now what happens is that, and I love stories, of course. So a lot of people, this is of course in the day and back, like, when we were still meeting in person. So I
Yeah.
would always take 4 to 5. I've written several books. I would take my books and I'd be sitting in a networking meeting with at least 4 or 5 of my books, and people would take a look at it, and then that would start a conversation. And then I would have some books, and if I thought, like, this was a warm lead and this would be definitely a great connection, then I'd definitely share a book, or I would just share that, feel free to check it out on Amazon, it's available. And also, so many times, what happens is that even virtually, I will have my books in the background. And then people will kind of like, like be like, okay, what is it? And so,
Yeah.
what happens is that it is the best marketing tool that you can have. And you don't have to feel cheesy or sleazy, like, oh gosh, I gotta, close the sale. I gotta get those leads. And how am I going to convince them? So basically, what happens is that if it's written the right way, and our team has taken over 164 authors and counting to become number one best-selling authors, and we have helped our authors garner like six-figure opportunities, speaking opportunities. So if you have written the book rightfully, so when a person reads a book, see, there is no pressure on that reader. They read at their own given time. You're not pushing yourself on them, and then the book does not leave the house. Usually it's around. And then if they connect with you, they get to know you. And they know that, yes, this person provides value. And they think, like, okay, there will be some people who will be saying that, you know what, I can take the book and run with it. And that's absolutely fine. So, like, one of my readers for one of my books, actually, she is a bookkeeper in for this book. She took that and ran a mastermind for approximately 3 years. She still keeps that book by her side. And she gave me a testimonial that just by reading your book, Divya, I grew my business 44%. She was down to that exact number. So there may be
Awesome.
people who don't want to work with you, but you have made that impact. And the best part is
Yeah.
that if you write it strategically, people will seek you out. And that's how
Yeah.
you position yourself as a trusted leader in the industry.
Okay, so just to wrap it up a little bit for me, for myself. So seeing the book not as a as a direct revenue model, but more as a business card that you give to people, and so that people come back to you for other projects, right? Can I say this? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And even if they don't come back, you have driven the impact and unpacked influence for which, at least for me, that's what I set out to do.
hmm
So it works either way for me.
hmm Okay, cool. So let's speak a little bit about the mid and long term successes that you got through your book. I mean, you wrote a lot of books, but through the books that you wrote. So, what were direct and indirectly the results or the projects that come back to you through the book that you published?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So, one of the things that I want to share is that really, really warm leads. A lot
Okay.
of my readers. So, first, midterm success and long term success, I'll say, is the impact that the books have had on my readers. So, one of the days, like before I was writing my last book, Expert to Influencer, one day I was like, why am I? It was a gloomy, wintry day, and I'm sitting in front of the computer. I'm like, why the heck do I keep on writing book after book? What's the point? And I'm sitting there, turn on my computer, and then I see an email pop up,
hmm
which tells me, like, as I'm reading through it, I don't know the person. And the email said, Divya, in your book, it was as if somebody stepped out and gave me permission to be myself. I'm on the top of the world, and thank you. And of course, I was completely fired up,
Hmm.
because that's,
Cool.
to me, that's success.
hmm
In my reader success and my client success is my success. So, what I'll say is that the mid and long term, both in success, it has brought people closer to me where I have been fortunate and blessed and honored to have been part of their journey so that I could make difference.
hmm
And when you see somebody succeed, there is nothing more fulfilling than that. That, oh, wow, I was part of that journey. So recently, one of my client, after she had written her book, like she got so many, like 7 to 8 speaking engagements as soon as her book was out. And she has, like, Hollywood people writing reviews for her. And I'm more thrilled for her than I'm more for myself.
hmm
So that is the whole aspect that gives you the fulfillment for which we live for and for which I spring out of the bed every single day. And then if I were to go on a personal note, I would say that a lot of great clients came in, a lot of speaking engagements. So from midterm to long term, it has been that the book, it has been consistent. One was the satisfaction.
hmm
And then secondly was also from the revenue, generating leads, getting speaking engagements, getting media exposure, getting on TV, my local TV, and even like getting on podcasts. Because so many times what happens is if you have a book, it makes it for a very easy pitch.
hmm Yeah,
And
yeah, makes sense.
yeah,
So when you say speaking engagements, does this mean you're traveling a lot currently through your books, or is it just because of COVID only virtual currently?
Yeah, it's been virtual for past couple of years. However, that said, like, just in August, I had the fortune to speak at a annual event for a company, local company. So the room was packed and it was so wonderful. They got the books for all of their attendees. And of course, when you're in that room, the energy is just so different. There's
Yes.
something to be said about that. And right now, the way the situation is, who knows, how things will turn out and what will happen. I just take a day at a time and see where it goes. And going from that, a funny story. So I was doing a keynote speaking for a leadership conference, for a women's leadership conference last year. And what happened was I had plugged in my computer and the camera in a way. So, for example, like, we switched from Zoom to StreamYard. So we did the same thing over there. We
Yeah.
switched the. So, am I looking at the camera right now, Jakub?
Yes.
Yes. So at that time, what happened was when I switched, I did not know that I had to go in the back of the StreamYard and change where the camera was. And of course, if I didn't change it, I'm looking somewhere else. And I was not
Yes.
looking at the camera for a whole of my keynote speech. And when they send me the video back, like, hey, you can use it for your marketing, I'm like, yeah, this can make for the best comedy clip.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's sometimes hard to look into the camera when you don't have to. So to building a connection, you have to look into the camera, but at the same time, it's something. It's not human, so it's sometimes a little bit strange. But you can train this. But yeah, that's very important to build a connection with the people. Yes. Yeah. Cool. But just curious. So do you use it when you want to be when you're strategic and you want to be on a speaking gig? Are you pitching and saying, "This is my book. I'm so to say, I wrote a book about this topic. Will it be interesting to have me as a guest speaker, or is it the other way around that um, the event planner are coming to you and asking you for being a guest speaker?"
it is both. So recently there
Both.
was like a virtual summit actually.
Mhm.
It is it's still going on. It's leadership amid chaos. And they had gone through my books and then they reached out to me. So it's a both
Mhm.
where I've had event planners coming to me, and then some cases I will reach out to event planners. So it works for in both cases because it's so
Mhm.
much easier. Let's say if you like, one of the strategies that I share that I'd love to share with your listeners as well, with your audience is also if you have a book and if you mail it in to the event planner, folks, it will make it through that mail. Because if you're sending as a package, people are always curious about package. And if you write like a handwritten note that thank you for giving me an opportunity and just being genuine and authentic, like who you are
Yeah.
and how you can help the audience, because it's again, it's not about you, it's about their audience and doing that research and sharing how your content, how your speech, or how your book could help them.
Mhm.
And if you kind of share it out, lay out a good plan, they may accept you, they may not accept you. It's a numbers game.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. Makes sense, yeah. So I had another question related to the event. No, I forgot it. But another thing about, let's speak a little bit about the publishing. So there are many ways how you can publish your book. You can, I mean, if you have a Word document, you can self-publish it on Amazon KDP. That's possible these days. So it was never easier to publish your ebook. But how is your approach? Do you are you more so to say traditional oriented, that you go to a traditional publisher, or are you also self-publishing your books?
Great question. So one of the things I want to share is that it depends on what your goals are. So
Mhm.
for me, it was again to connect with my audience, to have a good calling card. So in the publishing industry, there are three types of publishing. One, I call it as self publishing. The second is hybrid publishing. And third is the traditional publishing. So self publishing is like, you kind of go and then sometimes you outsource some stuff and you may not know like what realistically is happening and how your book formatting and all that should look like. People are like, yeah, you know what, let me get a Word document and I can just kind of put it in there,
Yeah.
throw it on KDP and Amazon, and of course you can do that. Here's the thing, folks, that when I talk about hybrid publishers is that these are people who have good experience. So for example, some of our editors and some of our formatters, they have worked for publishing companies and now they're
Yeah.
branched out on their own. So we are a family where like, one of my editors used to work for a magazine company. One of my editors has a PhD in organizational development.
Mhm.
So, and then one of the formatters is just like, all she does is, and she worked for a publishing company, and all she does is children's book. Then another person just does nonfiction books. One is into fiction books. So that is the hybrid publishing where you're still publishing your book, but the quality that you're generating is that of a traditional publishing house where like you may be looking for the drop caps or so for, like for example like if you were to kind of do it like each and every single detail like the fonts and how like even the inside of the book
Mhm.
is how it is laid out, that even if we are having how it is like thought out, or if you want to prove a point, you're putting it in a gray box.
Mhm.
So that separates like how the interior design, how the eyes of your readers are moving, and these are like all different aspects about aesthetics. So that if you're doing it in self publishing, you're not doing that. So that's where like hybrid publishing comes into play. And then again, you got to be careful, like are people like if you go to vanity publishers or hybrid publishers, are they keeping, they're publishing your books on Amazon and Ingram Spark and Smashwords and Google Books. I mean, there's so many different like Apple Books, iTunes Books, Barnes and Nobles. I mean, there's so many different platforms. Is that, are they keeping all the royalty? How is that? So it's important to kind of check it out.
Mhm.
All of that stuff. So that is like falls into hybrid publisher. Are they going to watch out for you? Or are they looking out for themselves? It's very important. Like, so for example, I'll share that initially when I started out, I went with a couple of hybrid publishers. And a couple of hybrid publishers took me for a ride. They walked away with my thousands of dollars and did not deliver on what they had promised. So that's a whole another piece. And then the next piece is the traditional publishers, where they're Simon and Schuster, Harper and Collins. There are multiple different publishing houses that you can go. And then there is another piece, which is literary agents.
Mhm.
And the key is that when you're approaching the literary agents, you got to make sure that you're connecting with the right person. And now you may ask that, oh, do literary agents charge money? Most of them don't. Usually their commission is anywhere between 15 to 20%. And there are some who will not even touch your manuscript because they just don't have time. Like, they are going to be committing to spending hours and hours of time for your books. So they only take some household names, like notable names like a football player, for a pro football player or pro baseball player or rock stars or CEOs of companies. And when you're going there, a lot of times there are some literary agents who may even charge you for creating a book proposal. And a lot of people say, like, they feel like very offended, or why are they charging for that? They're putting in the time and they're getting it ready for the publisher. So it's again like, for you to check it out, what works for you.
Mhm.
And then some people can reach out directly to the traditional publishers. But the key is like, doing your homework. Whether this publisher even publishes that books in that genre, whether that publisher has already published the book that you are publishing, then you got to do the market research. And of course, one thing that I want to emphasize, Jakub, over here is that doesn't matter whether you're self-publishing, like doing all the designing yourself, or whether you're going to a hybrid publisher, or whether you're going to a traditional publisher, you are expected to do the marketing.
Mhm.
Because people connect with people and you gotta do the grind. I always say, to me, it's the book is about growing your business, not about building revenue from the book. And of course you can do it, but you gotta be ready to do the grind. I hope that
Yeah.
answers your question. I might have gone a bit more, but I want to make sure that I'm providing value to your audience.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. So thanks for sharing these insights. So this leads already, I mean, you mentioned this already about marketing and selling the book. So because many people, they think they are in the book writing business, but actually they should be more in the book selling business. So if you're good in marketing and selling, then I think your job becomes easier, because I think especially for traditional publishers, you're interesting if you have a big email list who's very warm, if you have a lot of leads generated from social media, if you have a big following and things like that. But what are your advice or your lessons when it comes to marketing a book?
So when it will again depend on the publishers, like, like what route you're going. So there are different marketing options for every different phase of the book and for every different style, like, which route you're taking for publishing. So let's just kind of like go with the assumption that people are publishing on their own. People write the books, design it, do everything, and then they publish on Amazon.
Mhm.
In that case, I will say is that the minute you get the idea in your head, first thing is to think about is marketing, establishing, connecting with people genuinely, building that base, who your reader is. And it's important to find out exactly who your reader is and hanging out where they're hanging out. And there are a lot of authors who will share the journey. So as you're going through the journey, your ups and downs, connecting with the readers, yes, you may say, oh gosh, I don't have any following. But think about it, that if you are planning to write your book in 6 months or a year, if you were to connect even with 5 people every single day, so let's say that's 300 people, that's still like, anywhere between, you can generate like from 1,500 to 10,000 people in a year. So yes, this is slow, but it is slow and steady wins the race, so to speak. And I will say that is, there's nothing like fly by night kind of things. It's all about genuine relationships. You could have
Mhm.
10,000 followers, but if you're not getting the engagement, then it's no use about the numbers. It's how you're connecting, because I'll tell you, folks, it's about word of mouth. When a Harry Potter book comes out, or when Stephen King book comes out, it's already there, like, people are fans. And the key is connecting with your readers and making your readers not only your fans, and building that connection with them. And as you build that connection, building that genuine conversion of people going from a readership to somebody who likes you, to somebody who is a fan, and from fan to becoming a referral partner, where they're sharing that, oh yeah, you know what, this book is good.
Mhm.
So I'll just kind of share, like, for one of my books that was released like 2 years back, Expert to Influencer, it's still a bestseller. And so somebody liked it, and they were running a business program, and they included it as part of that. And then I didn't go do any sales, but it went to like 25 people. They bought 25 books straight, and then I got a couple of clients from there. So it's about building genuine connections, having those real conversations, connecting human to human rather than just kind of thinking, oh, ching, 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 ching. Like, my readers are like just like a money, like where I'm going to be getting the money machine or no. They're people. You are an impact driver. You are
Mhm.
somebody who's going to bring value to them. And if you think and if you come from that perspective, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, many good points. So this reminds me a little bit to an interview that I listened to Tim Ferriss from Tim Ferriss, and it was, I think, an interview with Jack Canfield and Tim Ferriss, and they spoke about writing a book. And basically, what you said also, it's if you have your reader in mind, if you want to really help this person, a specific person, your book becomes even better because you're writing this book to this person and solving his or her problems. And if you solve his or her problems, then there are many other people who have same or similar problems. And this is a great way to write a book. So it becomes better. Your marketing becomes also better. The book becomes better. So therefore, it makes totally sense to get in connection with people, speak with them, and make surveys and ask for their opinion, ask for their struggle, and include this also into the book and also into the marketing plan. Yeah, would totally agree. Yeah, cool,
Absolutely.
like it. Okay, so I guess you like to write, right? So you're okay, and me too. But there are people out there who maybe don't like. I mean, I'm coming from space of journalism. I worked as a digital editor and then as a content manager. So a lot of text, and currently using AI technology for producing text also. So making my life also easier. But there are people out there who don't like to write. So what would you suggest? But they still want this expert positioning with their book. What would you suggest these people?
Well, there are 2 to 3 different ways you can go about it. One is you kind of just take your phone and speak into it. It's really easy, like as if you were having a conversation. So, for example, you are a coach, you definitely have a conversation with your clients. So, just think about that person who you are speaking to and just kind of speak. So, you can do
Yes.
speech to text. And then, secondly, the idea would be to have like a blueprint
Mhm.
where you kind of make it a fun project. And then you can use this transcription, have somebody else like transcribe, get an editor, do it. That's one of the ways. The second is that you just kind of hire somebody. So, for example, some of our teams, if people give us anywhere between 8 to 10 hours, that's all we need from them. Our ghostwriters will write their book for them. So, that's another way.
Mhm.
And the third way is that like you partner up with someone and all you're doing is you can create a book where you are bringing stories of other people. So you are only writing a little piece, but you're still bringing the stories of other people. Like if you go back to one of the most sustainable books or one of the most recognized classics, all right, Think and Grow Rich. A lot of
Definitely
interviews there.
a
So
bunch of
there's so many
interviews.
different types of
Yeah,
books. Yeah.
yeah, makes sense. Cool. Cool. So the book as your business card to grow your business, to get new clients, to get new speaking gigs. Awesome. Okay. If people are interested to get some help because you are helping them also with your coaching program, where should they go and what are they going to experience when they follow you and want to work with you?
Well, that's a great question. And thank you for allowing me to share with your audience. So basically, it's a self directed program. And what we have done is that we have taken our VIP program and brought everything down to it. And what happens is so many times that lot of programs. You asked me a question, what can they expect? So as soon as they sign up, they are able to download, they have access to the whole program. And then the program walks them through even what type of book to write. Because unless you know what type of book you want to write, you could be writing multiple books. So we walk you through each and every single step so that it's easy, it's fun, and of course, some work always needs to be put in. And now what happens is that sometimes there's no support, like, and there are a lot of like online courses, and then you're like stuck. Okay, like, what do I do? So as a bonus, we are giving away 4 one-on-one coaching calls, either with me or with my head writing coach. So we're not just kind of leaving you in the lurch. And there will be a community as people kind of join in, but we are not keeping it as a group program. It's more of a do it at your own pace. But if you follow, like after you've done the research and all that, you can finish writing a book in 90 days. I'll not say over the weekend if that's what you're thinking.
Yeah.
That's not the program
That's
for
cool.
you.
90 days.
90 days, yes.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I like it.
And I
Cool.
can share the link. It's success.divyaparekh.com and write in 90 days.
Okay, awesome. I will put the link also under this video so that people, if they are interested, can look and look on the details. That's cool.
And if you are listening to this show and then reaching out, and if you're going to sign up, please write Yakup, YAKUP, and you will get a special surprise bonus.
Okay, cool. Appreciate it. Really, thank you. That's cool.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Really appreciate you.
Really, thank you for your time. Was a pleasure to. You were one of the first that I interviewed twice, so that's a very special thing. So